Welcome to this explainer on the anatomy of ambition. Today, we're tracking a really profound psychological descent. We're going to examine exactly how a loyal, brave soldier gets systematically transformed into a paranoid, bloodthirsty tyrant, largely because of his own tragic flaw.
So it brings us to a huge question. What actually drives a truly good person to commit an absolutely unthinkable act? We're starting by anchoring our whole analysis in this profound moral dilemma. Is it just unchecked ambition pulling the trigger? Or is it the inescapable pull of a dark, supernatural fate? Let's find out. Section 1. The spark of ambition. Let's look at how this toxic seed gets planted.
Fair is foul, and foul is fair. You've probably heard it. It brilliantly illustrates the dark duality of the world we're entering. Right from the jump, we are warned that absolute moral boundaries are about to be completely inverted. Good is going to become evil, and evil, well, it's about to masquerade as good. Out of this weird supernatural fog, the weird sisters present Macbeth with 3 specific prophecies. Step 1, Thane of Glamis, which, he already knows. Step 2, Thane of Cawdor, and Step 3, King Hereafter. This creates a massive domino effect of temptation. Once the current king actually grants him that title of Cawdor, validating the second step, that third title just instantly hooks his mind. The mere possibility of the crown becomes an absolute dangerous obsession.
But notice the stark psychological contrast between Macbeth and his wife. Initially, Macbeth is filled with moral dread. He hesitates. He has a nature that Lady Macbeth actually fears is too full of the milk of human kindness. On the flip side, Lady Macbeth displays an instant, chilling ruthlessness. She literally begs dark spirits to unsex her and fill her with direst cruelty. She's actively stripping away her own compassion just so she can push her husband into committing murder.
Section 2, the bloody crown. We are officially crossing the point of no return.
Alone in the dark, Macbeth hallucinates a dagger, leading him straight to King Duncan's chamber. Is this a dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand? This terrifying illusion perfectly punctuates his final moment of sanity crumbling. He is deeply aware of the absolute horror of what he's about to do, and yet, he lets this fevered vision guide him forward into treason.
Immediately following the murder, we see a complete fracture in how these two process guilt. Macbeth just spirals into total panic. He's crying out that he heard a voice say Macbeth does murder sleep. He honestly believes he's permanently severed his connection to humanity. But Lady Macbeth, she remains pragmatically, terrifyingly cold. She just says, "A little water clears us of this deed." To her, literally washing the blood off her hands washes away the crime entirely.
Section 3, Paranoia and Guilt. The illusion of control really starts to slip here.
Blood will have blood. This chilling realization really captures the crucial point. Violence just compounds itself. Macbeth realizes that he can't simply secure his stolen power and take a breather. He can't step back. To protect that crown, he has to continuously eliminate more and more perceived threats. It's a vicious cycle.
His reign rapidly mutates into a full-blown paranoid dictatorship. You really see it in the escalating and frankly senseless collateral damage. First, he hires assassins to murder his best friend, Banquo, because he's terrified of the witch's prophecy that Banquo's descendants will be kings. And later, out of just sheer malice and suspicion, he has Macduff's completely innocent family slaughtered. This violence isn't even a calculated step for power anymore. It's just a frantic, bloody attempt to silence his own terror.
But of course, the terror refuses to be silenced. At a royal feast, his immense guilt violently manifests as a hallucination of Banquo's bloody ghost, just sitting right there in his chair. He's literally screaming at an empty stool in front of all his lords. It proves to the entire court, and to us, that his mind is fundamentally fracturing under the weight of his sins.
Moving on to Section 4, Illusions of Invincibility. Seeking out some dangerous comfort.
Desperate and losing his grip, Macbeth goes back to the witches. Let's map out this second set of prophecies that lull him into this arrogant belief in his own immortality. First, an armed head warns him to beware Macduff. Okay, but then a bloody child tells him that no man born of a woman shall ever harm him. And finally, a crowned child holding a tree tells him he is perfectly safe until the literal forest of Birnam Wood moves to his castle at Dunsinane.
Now, Macbeth takes these prophecies at absolute face value. He thinks he's invincible, right? Because forests can't walk and, well, all men are born of women. But he critically fails to realize the witches are using equivocation. What's that? It's the use of ambiguous language to conceal the truth. They are dangling these literal truths that are actually psychological traps, specifically designed to inflate his hubris and ultimately destroy him completely.
Section 5. The Tragic Fall. The catastrophic consequences are finally catching up.
Out, damned Spot. Out, I say. In a brilliant reversal of roles, it is now Lady Macbeth who is completely destroyed by guilt. Remember earlier when she said a little water clears us of this deed? Well, now she's sleepwalking through the castle, obsessively trying to wash imaginary blood from her hands. The psychological burden that she thought she could so easily dismiss has utterly crushed her sanity.
Upon hearing the news of his wife's death, Macbeth is just completely drained. He delivers this crushing realization. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day. He realizes his bloody pursuit of power hasn't brought him majesty or joy. It's just left his life completely hollow and meaningless.
And just as his spirit breaks, the physical world turns against him. In a super rapid, devastating sequence, the witches' literal truths violently unravel. The English forces camouflage themselves with branches, making Birnam Wood literally march toward his castle. And then on the battlefield, Macduff reveals the fatal loophole. He wasn't born naturally. He was untimely ripped from his mother's womb. The equivocation is complete. Checkmate.
Macbeth is ultimately slain in combat by Macduff, leaving us to reflect on this entire anatomy of a downfall. The tyrant is beheaded, the rightful heir takes the throne, and the natural order is restored. It's a really stark, timeless warning about what happens when you sacrifice your core humanity for the sake of power.
I want to leave you with this final thought to consider. Look at the balance of power in this story. Was Macbeth entirely the victim of a dark fate, just a pawn manipulated by the witch's equivocation? Or was he the true architect of his own destruction, eagerly allowing his ambition to interpret their words to suit his deepest, darkest desires? It's a fascinating question about free will, and I highly encourage you to dive into the source text and explore it for yourself. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.